to the SalesSheroes, the podcast that champions women in sales and celebrates the unstoppable women breaking barriers and making waves in the dynamic world of sales. I'm your host, Angie Gonzalez, and with me today is my incredible co-host, the powerhouse herself, LaDonna Hale. Together, we're diving into the story, insights, and victories of the SalesSheroes who inspire us all. LaDonna, how are you? How's your sales week been?
Hey, Ange, my sales week's great. I'm off to a great start this year. I feel really good about everything, which is really, it makes it easier to do your job when your numbers are coming in okay. I took the weekend, had a girls' weekend with some friends at the beach, and our dear friend Casey broke her ankle, so that was a little stressful.
That is stressful. Let's give a shout out to Casey. She is literally a powerhouse herself, a rock star, pushes through pain, pushes through crap. So we're super bummed that she's injured and praying for her quick healing on that. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. So I had a great weekend minus her getting hurt. And then I'm back at it. I'm up in the Portland area today and life is good. And we're just moving through this week and yeah, things are good.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Today's topic is actually super fun because we get to talk about other women. You know, a lot of times we don't give enough shout outs to the folks out there, but I'm excited to dive into today's topic. We're going to talk about breaking glass ceilings in sales and highlighting some incredible women trailblazers.
Yeah, I love that. So we're going to kick it off, just like Andy said, by just talking about what the glass ceiling is. So what does the glass ceiling mean? I know we hear that a lot. Angie, why don't you give us kind of your take on that?
Yeah, it's a metaphor. So for those of you, I know you've heard it, but to know exactly what it is, it's a metaphor for the invisible barrier to advancement in a profession, especially affecting women and members of minorities. So there's a lot of us out there that deal with this every single day, but let's talk about some examples of what really that glass ceiling is.
Yeah, for sure. And just like you said, the glass ceiling discriminates against people in many different ways. And oftentimes as women, I think we even kind of lose sight of those things at times. I know it's not a great idea to always focus on the negative, but it is important to be aware. And that's one of the reasons that we wanted to talk about this today, because as a female that's 52 years old, I have had discrimination happen to me along the way. And there were times in my life that I didn't really recognize that that's what was happening, but there were also times in my life that I would have handled things very differently than I did handle them had I been prepared and known. So that was another reason we wanted to highlight this topic today, because it still happens and it's important to recognize so that you know how to keep yourself well during those times and also how to handle it, how to power through. So a few examples of the glass ceiling: being passed up for a promotion to a management position because you're pregnant or you're looking to start a family. That's very real and viable.
That's a big one too. Yeah. And I know a lot of women, I have a lot of friends that have gotten pregnant, waited forever. And then they're like, oh crap, I have a really good job. And then now I have to tell them I need to take time off. And we wrestle with that, right? Internally, you know, how long do we go before we say anything? Or can we trust that our job will be here when we get back? Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, totally. Being excluded from important decision-making executive meetings, pretty, I mean, it happens often, right? Yeah, absolutely. Being overlooked, lacking the proper resources and tools to really succeed at your job, abruptly being reassigned to different projects so male coworkers have better opportunities. I'm going to say that one more time. Have you seen that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say it one more time. Abruptly being reassigned to different projects so male coworkers have better opportunities. I haven't had that happen to me directly, but I've seen it happen. Yeah. So have you experienced that?
Same. I've not experienced it personally, but working corporate so many years, I have seen that. And you're just kind of dumbfounded. And let's preface this whole conversation today of glass ceilings and SalesSheroes. This is never a podcast about slamming our male counterparts. This is never a podcast of staying segregated from anyone. We're not trying to exclude ourselves or call out any negativity thereof, but it's reality. It's just a reality that women do have to do things differently, conduct themselves differently, handle things differently. So I want to make sure to point that out, because I know we do have a lot of really awesome male supporters out there, and this is not a slam to any of them. It's just what we've experienced through the years. So yeah, yes. I have seen in corporate, some of my female friends very qualified friends get passed over for golfing buddies or friends of your husbands or whatever, right? And it's so discouraging. It hasn't happened though in the last probably like 5 years that I've witnessed. I'm sure it's still happening, but it was shocking when it did.
Yeah, totally. And I want to say, just like recognizing that is a potential of happening, so that you lean in. Like, if you haven't read Sheryl Sandberg's book, it's a great one. I think sometimes as women, we don't lean into situations and we don't speak up and we don't have direct communication about what our desires are. And so we can get overlooked, not because someone is necessarily overlooking us because of gender, but we need to be making sure that we're being vocal about like what glass ceilings we want to break, right? If we want a different role, like I think oftentimes we are more passive at times than men about speaking the truth about what we really want. So another glass ceiling could be being subjected to degrading and disrespectful comments based on race, sexual orientation, gender, or class. I've experienced the gender for sure. I have a daughter who's mixed, so I have witnessed race, discrimination around race. And I think it's really important to recognize, really important to make sure you put yourself in a position that you know who your contacts are if you're feeling like that's happening. Like, know your HR person, get to know your HR person. I think people are oftentimes afraid of HR, and I think HR can be a really valuable place for you to communicate needs of a company, because maybe the company doesn't know what's happening, right? I mean, oftentimes I feel like that's the case. And if the company knows and you're not getting resolution, that might not be the right company for you. And I think it's important to say that as well. So those are just some examples of where the glass ceiling might be holding you back.
Yeah, those are good. And I know a lot of our Sheroes has probably dealt with a lot of the discrimination or even disrespectful comments. There's a fine line in sales of figuring out what is funny, what isn't funny, trying to keep up with the jokes, letting it roll off your back, all the things when you stand there and they make a comment, you're like, but really? Like, people still say stuff like that this day and age? It shocks me, right?
Yeah, and sometimes you do have to just let that roll off your back. There's no reason to internalize it. There's no reason to make a big deal about it. Sometimes I think it's okay just to move past the situation. That's a great point. That's a great point.
Bless and release them and pray for them on the back end. So I'm sure we've all experienced something like this. I know I definitely have in my career as well. And it can make it more challenging and frustrating and hard to really think for a moment when you're going through it that you're ever going to get past it, because it's so easy to get sucked into the negativity. So how can we change things? At SalesSheroes, we're going to address the negativity, but we're going to always follow it up with the positive side of things. So let's talk about breaking the glass ceiling. How can we break the glass ceiling? So in sales, it means challenging the traditional norms and stereotypes that have limited opportunities for women in our field. So it's about paving the way for future generations of women to excel and thrive in sales roles, regardless of perceived barriers. To me, that is truly breaking the glass ceiling.
Yeah, totally. It's spot on, Ange. Speaking of paving the way, I'd love for us to shine a light on some remarkable women who are doing just that. Can you share an example of a sales shero who has made a significant impact?
Yeah, again, I know we kind of do some research on ladies, and there's a lot of wonderful, intelligent, beautiful women in sales out there that we could have highlighted. But I just picked one today because I know we could go on for days on how many women are amazing. And one day we'll have a conference where we can just sit there and just shout out how badass, awesome women are. But today I really wanted to bring up a woman by the name of Sarah Breedlove. She's extremely inspiring. Some of you might know her as Madam C.J. Walker. She was an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and an activist. So if you don't know her, she became the first female self-made millionaire after starting her line of beauty and hair products for Black women. It was called Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company. And this was back in the early part of sales. Segregation was big. She started her career by creating products in her kitchen moved throughout the city selling it to friends, which led her to asking her friends if they would help her sell it. So she attended trade shows where she was allowed because she was a minority, created her company, climbed the ladder one step at a time, breaking glass ceilings along the way. So I feel like her leadership, determination have not only propelled her own success, but have also opened the doors for countless women in sales today. So she's one of the very first, going back to the 1900s, right? The very first women in sales. And she was a minority. And she started out of her kitchen. And she wasn't trained or coached or, didn't go to conferences to figure out how to do what she did. She said, there's a need. The need is for my friends to have better beauty products. So she made it. And then she shared it with her friends. Does this not resonate today? Like what we're doing when we start like MLM, it's about sharing your stuff. Corporate, it's selling or sharing something you might need, right? Anything we do with online digital selling today is me sharing what I think is cool to my friends and family. And then I make a profit. So for a lot of people that kind of downplay sales, oh, you're just in sales. No, be proud, right? Be proud because there are women that had it so much harder than we do today, and they walked through it successfully. And I think that that's where we can too.
I love that. And I love that you said be proud, because I think that that's really important. I mean, and I'm just going to say this because you and I have both built a career over a number of years in sales, like over 30 years each. 30 years of sales experience each. And I love what I do. I love the flexibility. There are many things. There have been times in my career where I was like, man, wow, maybe I should have done something different. But where I'm at and the stage I'm at in my life now is there aren't many other things that I could have done that give me the flexibility, especially because I have a big territory, right? The flexibility to be able to see the people that I want to see during a week. I have a lot of choice and who my clients are and who I spend my time with. And that's powerful and amazing. So yes, be proud of what you're doing. You can build a career that you truly love in sales, and you can build uncapped income opportunities for yourself, especially when you stand strong in your beliefs and your mission, vision, and values, and you align yourself with the right people in the right company. You can do some really powerful things as a woman, as any sales rep, but as a woman sales rep, it's one of the areas that I knew because I had a male counterpart who was a friend years ago. He said, LaDonna, you're a single mama. This is a really great place for you to be able to up-level your life without having a big degree behind you to push you forward. You can make powerful income in this field. And because I watch you have a servant heart, I believe that you could be really successful at this. So shout outs to my friend Rocky, who still owns a carpet store in Eugene, Oregon. He's the reason I went into sales.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, really powerful, right? Those are those real life experiences of having a male counterpart who had respect for me. He liked me as a human being. He wanted to help me up level, and he really pushed me on the trajectory to step into the field of sales.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah, right?
I love that. And it's interesting because I think salespeople always get a bad rap sometimes. Oh, you're just pushing a product. What do you want? You're only doing it for money. How is that any different than other industry leaders? How is it different than a CEO? You're pushing stuff for a paycheck, right? You're pushing your initiatives, your agendas. Politicians, same thing, right? It's interesting because when I started many years ago as well, I didn't know what I wanted to be. Okay, that's not true. Let me go back. Let's be honest. I wanted to be a flight attendant in the 90s. And my dad looked at me and said, you want to be a glorified waitress in the air? And I said, yes. I love people. I love serving, and I love traveling. That's what I want to do. Became a mom at a young age, and it didn't work out for me. But the point is that I loved people. That was my thing. At a young age, I knew I want to know all people. Everyone always would laugh at me. You talk to everyone. It's so easy for you, because I genuinely want to know who you are and what your story is and what's going on, and then find out, oh, maybe you need my product. Sweet, winning. I can pay the lights today. Right. So it just is a winning thing. But yeah, I think being proud to be in sales, if you're upset that you're in sales, then it's probably not the career for you. If you're frustrated, you can look to see, why am I frustrated? Is it the tasks? Do I need time management? Do I need coaching, mentorship, etc.? Do I not have enough allies in my corner at work? But if all of that, you really still are frustrated, then maybe it's time to look at something else, because you should be happy and you should be proud with what you do all day, because we do spend a lot of time working it. Like Madam C.J. Walker. She was clearly challenged, right? She was clearly up against a wall. Thank gosh today we still have a long way to go to racism and all of the changes that we need to make for women in the world. But I'm thinking back at how challenging it was for her back then, having to do this. And then not even her, the risk her team, her friends who said, I'll sell this with you. I also want to make some money for my family or to get out of my situation. The risk that these women took back then to sell something that they believed in and then be so successful. That's why I think that she's one of the most amazing. There's a documentary on her. So if you guys have not checked out Madam C.J. Walker's documentary, check it out. Her story is fascinating.
Her story is fascinating. And I think it highlights, I'm reading Think and Grow Rich for the millionth time around, the female version, Think and Grow Rich for Women. Yeah, totally. And definiteness of purpose. I'm saying that wrong. But being definitive in what your purpose is, that's one of the aspects of having a growth mindset in sales, in anything, but really in sales. And I would say that Madam C.J. Walker had that, right? She knew she had a mission. She was on a mission, and look what she's been able to accomplish. So if you know what your purpose is and you really get strong in what your purpose is, it doesn't matter what you're selling. As long as it's aligned with your purpose, you'll be able to have a powerful career. I love that. So as we wrap up today's episode, let's continue to celebrate and uplift the women who are shattering glass ceilings in sales. Their achievements not only inspire us today, but they also pave the way for more inclusive and diverse, just like you said, people in the sales industry. So thanks, Angie, for doing this one with me.
Yeah, this one was exciting. I think it's important to recognize that the journey to breaking glass ceilings isn't always easy. Many women face adversity and obstacles along the way, but resilience and determination are what ultimately are propelling them forward. And we talk about resilience all the time. So overcoming challenges is a defining characteristic of all these sales sheroes. They serve as inspiration for anyone who aspires to make a difference in the sales industry. So, I don't let anyone convince you, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I don't want to have anyone be convinced that breaking the glass ceiling is impossible, because we are witnessing in this world today, it is very possible. I did look this up. I have to give you this stat. So according to betterup.com, this was fascinating to me. In 2021, 41 women were running businesses on the Fortune 500, which is a completely new record. That is amazing. 2 Black women are running Fortune 500 businesses for the very first time right now too. So I think this is important. You're capable of doing the same, of breaking barriers in the workplace. Remember, we all have a voice. You have a voice at your own company, and it's essential that we're using it. Going back to your point earlier, right? By acknowledging the glass ceiling and breaking it, we're going to empower other women to do the same, like in this case. So it was awesome. Okay, wrapping up. I know that we wanted to do a short one today. We have a lot of things going on, as well as everyone does. We're pivoting in between some things. So thanks, LaDonna, for helping us with that. So to the SalesSheroes community, thanks for joining us today. We hope that you also do some research on the women that are trailblazing and aspiring your sales journey. Share it out with us on our Instagram and Facebook. It's important that we are sharing achievements of each other. Make sure to connect with us. We're always out there on Instagram and TikTok and behind the scenes for some stuff. We can't wait to continue shining the spotlight on more amazing women and reshaping the landscape. So keep breaking barriers and embracing your inner shero. Your unique strengths and talents are catalysts for change, and we can't wait to witness the extraordinary heights you're all going to reach soon. Any last words, LaDonna?
I don't have anything else, Ange.
All right, folks, happy selling and stay empowered.